Welcome to the winter edition of Directions, AT&T's all-employee video magazine. Coming up, an AT&T service team in the Southwest faces their moment of truth when they help a customer restore service after a devastating accident. We'll travel to Spain to attend the opening of our first European semiconductor plant. We'll be with an international operator as she tries to get a call through to Moscow. We'll pay a visit to Bell Labs to see the new device that may revolutionize lightwave technology. And we'll wish an old friend a happy anniversary. But first, Jim Olson.
1987 was a terrific year for AT&T, and we're being recognized for the progress we've made. Take this January 18th issue of Business Week. The headlines, AT&T, the making of a comeback. Now, we ought to all be proud of what happened in 1987. Not only the story, which is very positive. Unfortunately, I got much too much credit for the turnaround. I wish this picture had 300,000 employees on the cover because you made it happen. You ought to feel good about it. Our earnings in 1987 up 50% over the operating earnings for 1986. It happened because of you and all of your efforts. The stock market has recognized that. A year ago, January 21st, 1987, our stock was at 26 3/8. Despite the market crash on October 19th, our stock ended yesterday at $28 a share. We've had a much better performance than most blue chip stocks because of the positive turnaround that you helped bring about in 1987. Now, unfortunately, the employee attitude survey results tell me that we don't have that positive feeling that I want to see in all of our employees. You recognize, I've seen this in the survey, that our financial results have improved. But you still are concerned that management doesn't care about you and that somehow we're not taking advantage of all your skills, that we're not asking you for your input, your ideas on how we can continue to make improvement. Well, back in November and more recently within the last 2 weeks, I have spent a lot of time with the top 30 officers talking about employee morale and what it's going to take all the way to Jim Olson to make sure we address those issues that are on your mind. We're going to do it. You're going to see positive results. Words aren't enough. You need to see it in the way we act as managers. And I promise you we're committed to do just that. Now, you've got to help. This company can be very, very successful in the years ahead. But you've got to take your own initiative. Somehow you've got to, in your own job, find ways to improve. Talk to your supervisors. Talk to other employees. Let's focus on the customer. Let's not constantly fight these turf battles. And I know you think there's way too much turf, and there is. And we're going to work to break those barriers down. So please, you take your own initiative. And I'll try to lead with the top 30 managers to put the systems in place. That includes personnel systems, new order entry systems, all the things that'll help make your job easier. And if you do that, I'm absolutely convinced that 1988 and beyond are going to be very, very successful years for the new AT&T company.
On November 13th, it was business as usual here in Service Manager Larry Linder's office in Amarillo, Texas. Down the road, Account Executive Donna Pearson talked with customers. In Denver, at the AT&T Service and Retrofit Center, Methods Analyst Carolyn Pacha was finishing up her work before the weekend, while technicians Ken Martinez and Phil Gerch tested equipment to be shipped next week. Over on Havana Street in nearby Aurora, Transportation Supervisor John Rula was busy preparing travel schedules. In Houston, District Manager Carolyn Ward, Material Management Services, tended to her workload that covers 6 states. It was a normal business day. Saturday, November 14th at 4 p.m. turned business as usual into a moment of truth for AT&T customer service. Pampa, Texas. 3 explosions ripped through the Hoechst Celanese chemical plant, killing 3 people and injuring 36. Switching equipment near the blast is destroyed, hampering emergency efforts. Celanese needs to restore communications fast to aid their recovery teams. At 5 p.m., AT&T Services Manager Larry Linder is on his way to Pampa, where he'll remain for the next 10 hours.
I got in my vehicle and drove over there just as quick as I could. They had a detour about 20 miles outside of Pampa where I had to take a roundabout course to get there, but they requested that I be right there next to the chief of police for the mobile telephone service that I had in my truck.
During the evening, Larry will find out that a cousin of his was one of those killed in the explosion. With their offices destroyed, Celanese relocated to this building in downtown Pampa. Sunday, 6:30 a.m. With only 3 hours of restless sleep, Larry and his crew are back to begin wiring the emergency command post.
I really didn't know what the wiring situation would be like when we got there, so I tried to plan for the worst possible case, which was repulling all the wire, which we didn't have to do. However, the wire was not actually in that good a condition. We had to upgrade it and pull some new wires.
By 10 o'clock Monday morning, AT&T National Account Service Manager Bill Henderson accompanies Celanese telecommunication managers to assess the damage and determine the scope of initial service. They will need a System 75, and they will need it in less than 24 hours.
Carolyn, this is Donna Pearson in Amarillo.
Donna Pearson, AT&T's account executive for Celanese, calls Carolyn Ward at the Material Management Office in Houston with the specifications for the switch.
And jointly we called in Joe Ferguson. The specifications made me aware of the fact that the material was available, it was in the retrofit center, and he could have it built out for me.
McGuire. Yeah, Joe. System 75. What model?
On Monday at 2 p.m. in Denver at the Retrofit Center, Joe Ferguson, Customer Service LBS Manager, calls Nelson McGuire requesting a System 75 Model 3A.
Caroline, I need to see you. We got a hot one.
Got it.
Hi. Celanese had an explosion in Texas. They need to switch.
Methods analyst Carolyn Pacha coordinates the parts for the switch, so technicians Ken Martinez and Phil Gerch can assemble the switch from 2 other systems in the area.
We got an emergency out of service. Can you guys stay and work overtime tonight?
We were fortunate that we had a couple of customer orders sitting there that had the required burn-in on the circuit packs, and the batteries and the battery charger had all been checked out. So I instructed the shop to remove components from these cabinets that had been checked out and put them in the smaller 2B cabinet for Celanese.
By 5:30 p.m., the switch is assembled, tested, and ready for shipping.
Carolyn, this is John Rula. Those dimensions on that package.
It's up to Transportation Supervisor John Rula to make sure that the 600-pound package gets to Pampa that evening.
4 feet high.
It needed a little more attention, and several calls confirmed the fact that we needed to get it down there yet that night, at which point we looked at a charter airplane. And several calls here confirmed that we could, in fact, move that down there and get it delivered that night.
On Tuesday at 3:30 a.m., the switch arrives. Within an hour, Larry Linder and his crew have the switch booted up and running. By 7 a.m., the phone system is working, less than 20 hours after the customer's request for service.
Super. They couldn't have done it any faster. I don't see how someone got out to the scene Saturday night and got that landline in. I don't know how they have been able to get the PBX or the System 75 extra system that they were able to locate in Denver and get it out of here as quick. They got us set up here on the 5th floor in just super time. They've anticipated very, very well. It's good that in these times we've got people like that we can depend on.
It will take 6 months to a year for Celanese to rebuild its plant. The AT&T service team will be there with them, just as they were in that crucial moment after the accident. A moment of truth for AT&T customer service. At the International Operating Center in Pittsburgh, calls are connected to over 230 different countries. Today, Renee Ganster is helping customers who are trying to reach the Soviet Union.
Hello? Hello, this is the AT&T International Operator. Are you placing a call to Moscow?
An average of 40,000 calls are handled daily by the 450 IOC operators.
Moscow have not been answering all day.
Oh.
Calls to Moscow can be arranged for a specific time by reserving them in advance. But sometimes the limited circuits and heavy volume can create delays.
Call. You know, my parents-in-law have the gold wedding anniversary.
Well, I'll be working here most of the day, so I promise you I will do everything possible to make sure you get your call.
Thank you.
Okay, bye now.
The IOC handles approximately 3,200 calls a day to the Soviet Union, and all of them must be placed through American operators working with their Soviet counterparts.
Each operator in Moscow has their own personality. You know, it's always different on every single call. Hello, Moscow. I do enjoy working with them. There's one in particular, her name is Jelena, and we've gotten to be friends, and she wanted always to have a friend in America, so I told her I would be her friend.
Over there,
I find their way of life extremely interesting, and that if able to, I would love to be able to go over and visit them. Hello, Moscow. This is Pittsburgh. Thank you, dear. I've been trying so long to reach you. Can you ring for me in Moscow?
Hello?
Hello, Eugenia?
Yes?
Hi, we finally have the operator in Moscow, and she's trying the number now for you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, they're
Yes.
on the line.
Hello? Hello? Алло? Алло?
Hello? Папа! Пап, здрасте!
Оля!
Ой, поздравляем вас, папа, с вашей годовщиной. Ой, желаю вам счастья, здоровья. Вот и Жанна хочет вас поздравить тоже.
Дядя Люся, здравствуйте. Да, и ваш тоже, дядя Люся.
Бабуля! Здравствуй, дедушка! Дедушка, послушай.
One of the reasons it feels so nice to be an operator, especially in the IOC, is because you're aware of the tension between a lot of the countries. And, you know, you're dealing with customers of a different nationality. You're dealing with the operators in a country that may not be an ally of the United States. But when the three of you are all together, you know, you're working as a team. And it seems like all the problems that are in the world have disappeared, you know, for that brief moment.
November 1987 saw the inauguration of the AT&T Microelectronica de España factory located near Madrid, Spain. The ceremonies marking the event began as the Spanish national anthem heralded the arrival of King Juan Carlos and Queen Sofia. Jim Olson expressed his feelings concerning this joint venture with the Spanish telephone company.
Today we are inaugurating an era of new technology in Spain, and we are inaugurating a new period of international involvement for AT&T, Microelectronica, and for Spain.
This desire for international involvement led AT&T and the Spanish telecommunications giant Telefonica to form AT&T Microelectronica. The company will use leading-edge technology to manufacture integrated circuits for the Spanish, Western European, and U.S. markets. AT&T Microelectronica will fulfill Spain's desire for technological growth and place AT&T directly within the foreign market it wishes to serve. A number of employees from the U.S. have been involved in starting up the plant. Putting a new facility online is always complicated, but in this case, cultural differences also came into play.
I think I've learned quite a bit of Spanish since I've been here, but there's always the fine play on words that makes a difference when you say something that you want done or you explain something, or there's just a slight misunderstanding can create crises.
But these cultural differences also forged an appreciation for others' way of life.
I know the Americans, I know how they work, I know how they think, their sense of humor.
The plant currently employs 250 people, and that number will eventually rise to 700. AT&T Microelectronica will position Spain as a major competitor in Western Europe's electronics market. It will also enhance AT&T's stature as a world leader in high technology. At Bell Labs, research into photonics, or light wave technology, is leading the way toward a network capable of transmitting vastly greater amounts of information over hair-thin strands of glass fiber used in light wave cable.
The advantage of a fiber optic network is in its capacity. As you know, today's long-haul trunk networks can transmit over 26,000 phone calls on a single fiber. That's equivalent to sending the amount of data in the entire Encyclopedia Britannica in less than a second.
However, a stream of photons, like a stream of electrons, diminishes in strength when transmitted over long distances and must be amplified. Today, photons, or light wave signals on our fiber optic network, are amplified electronically. That means that photons must be converted to electrons, which are then amplified and reconverted back to photons. This conversion process limits the high-speed, high-capacity potential of fiber optic transmission. At AT&T Bell Laboratories in Murray Hill, New Jersey, scientists are researching ways to create an all-photonic network. Recently, a major breakthrough was achieved. A team of research scientists led by Anders Olson built an experimental optical amplifier system. Smaller than a grain of salt, the optical amplifier strengthens the light wave signal directly without converting it to electrons.
The main three advantages of optical amplifiers is, first, it's simplicity. An amplifier is a device, and it can do many of the functions, almost all of the functions of a regenerator, which is a complicated system. The second advantage is the high speed. Optical amplifiers of the order 1,000 times faster than state-of-the-art electronics. The third advantage is it's a multi-channel device. That is, you can send many channels into an amplifier and have them amplified simultaneously. That you cannot do in a regenerator.
Well, this successful experiment with optical amplifiers is important because it brings us closer to a day when we can have tremendous capacity of fiber optics into everyone's home. For example, if we had 1 billion bits per second into each home, we could download an entire 2-hour full-length movie in only a couple of minutes. This world requires a tremendous bandwidth in the entire system, fiber optics in the entire system. And such very, very high bandwidth requires such breakthroughs as optical amplifiers.
In the fall edition of Directions, Dina DiPiero asked Jim Olson,
Mr. Olson, the competitors are hitting us hard with their advertising. When or are we going to get aggressive with our advertising?
Well, I got problems with this new long-distance outfit Larry picked.
It was you? You're supposed to save us a bundle. It might cost us a few clients.
if you've bristled at competitors' claims of comparable quality at cheaper prices, you'll be pleased to see that AT&T has taken off its kid gloves in a series of new TV commercials aimed at business customers.
If we can't count on them, they're history.
What's different about them is that they really relate a very intense emotional experience that a business customer would have in his act of choosing a carrier.
It's the same old line I fall for every time. Just as good, only cheaper. So, it's 5 minutes before the market closes. I'm on the phone, waiting for it to ring, watching my hair turn gray. Waiting. I can't get through.
We've always talked about, here is what you get from AT&T. Now we're suggesting that in addition to always getting the best, there may be something you're losing by not getting the best. And price is not as important as what you really need to have in business long distance.
AT&T's worldwide intelligent network, the most advanced technology and the experience to manage it. Because we know it's not just long distance, it's your business on the line. AT&T, the right choice.
We invited employees to ask Jim Olson about the issues that concern them. Here are their questions and Mr. Olson's responses.
Mr. Olson, many corporations are implementing cost reduction programs aimed directly at the employees, such as layoffs, downgrades, and wage reductions. Is the new AT&T plan of quality service going to avoid these possibilities, or are they directly going to affect the employees in the AT&T future?
Well, Steve, let me start off by talking about the AT&T cost reduction programs aren't really aimed at employees. They're aimed at our competitors. How can we make sure that the products and services we provide are better, both on the quality of the product and service and what we have to price them at to recover our costs? Now, part of our downsizing program have involved people. Quality, absolutely a must. Our end products, our end services that we deliver to our customers must be of high quality or we're going to lose long term. That's not an issue. Building quality into every step of the process is something I need all of our employees' help on. And I'm committed to execute a strategy that has quality and the importance of our people a milestone part of that strategy. Hopefully, over time, as we execute this strategy, we will not have to have the severe downsizing that we've had in the past. But let me assure you, Steve, our strategy and cost reductions are not aimed at employees. It's aimed at our competitors and making sure we're ahead of them, both on quality of our products and how we have to price them.
Hi, I'm Kathy Grebenchenko, a secretary in advertising, and I'd like to know why there aren't any career development programs for non-management employees.
Well, Kathy, you know, there are a lot of programs for non-management employees that involve career opportunities. We have a very important program that we negotiated with both the IBEW and the CWA in our last bargaining. It's called the AT&T Employment Security Package for Occupational Employees. We have other, and I'm not going to use all the acronyms, we have TCP, which involves transfer considerations. We have Employment Opportunities Review Systems, which involved locations where downsizing is going on. We have Job Information System, which is another way for employees to find out what jobs are available, not only today, but what jobs will the new AT&T have in the future. As far as I'm concerned, we need to have a climate inside of AT&T that every employee has an opportunity to develop their skills to their utmost. Now, part of that is what you can do for yourself, making sure you know what jobs are available and then decide what additional qualifications you need to be sure that you can achieve that kind of a job. Some of this you can do in your own training, off-the-job training. We have tuition aid programs for you. With the union, we have a new program that allows retraining for employees that have been involved in downsizing. We are committed to this. There's an 800 number that I think is going to be on the screen that you should call. If we do not have the information available at your hands, we can get it to you. This is important. This is part of, I think, the personnel systems that AT&T must be committed to in the future.
Yes, Mr. Olson, I have one question. During the last year, our stock market has gone through a period of change. Do you foresee this hurting the AT&T stockholders in the future?
Well, Samuel, I wish I understood the stock market as well as I'd like to. October 19th, the crash that took place, I think a lot of people were completely surprised by what happened on that date. President Reagan has a commission trying to study what all the factors were that influenced that kind of a dramatic drop. I think the best thing that can happen for AT&T is for our company to provide good results in the future, positive earnings, positive products and services, and get the confidence up in the investment community, which we have achieved to a large measure in 1987. If we do that, then I think AT&T stock will perform extremely well, as it has in 1987. So the fact that the stock market is a very sophisticated financial market system that is undergoing total change, I think we have to deal with that kind of a complex environment. But my advice is let's all work hard to make sure AT&T's performance is excellent, and then I think the stock market will react favorably toward AT&T stock owners.
100 years ago, March 11th, the blizzard of '88 slams into the Atlantic seaboard and confronts a young AT&T with its first crisis. In New York, Boston, and Philadelphia, transportation is stalled. Telegraph lines are down. Will the fledgling telephone service be the next to go? In Massachusetts, lineman Angus MacDonald steps into the blinding storm. Tramping snowshoes mingle with the howling wind as Angus and his intrepid co-workers fight to keep the line from New York to Boston alive. Finally, the storm clears.
Hello, New York. Hello, Boston. Cold enough for you?
And the New York to Boston line is still standing tall. It's a century this spring since Angus MacDonald struggled through that blizzard, and his picture has symbolized the dedication of AT&T people for a long time now. He's part of a tradition that makes this company unique in American business, a tradition called the spirit of service. Happy anniversary, Angus. This has been the winter 1988 edition of Directions, an ongoing portrait of who we are today and where we're going next. We'll be back next quarter with more. If your group is not yet on the Directions mailing list, call 1-800-922-DUBS, or from New Jersey area headquarters locations, 201-221-2032. And when the last person in your group has finished viewing this tape, please return it for recycling.